not too bad. Before we get started with your show today, I just have a few quick but important rules and announcements for you all. Now, first and foremost, the Long Island Aquarium and all of its properties are non-smoking. We ask that you refrain from smoking of any kind during your visits with us today. Next, that center staircase and side ramp to your left do make up our only emergency exits, so please keep them free and clear of any sitting or standing at all times. We also understand that you may have a variety of personal items with you today. We ask that you hold tightly to these items and dispose of any trash properly on your way out, as it can get a bit breezy up there in the Coliseum. And anything that can blow into our animals' outdoor habitats, like the one you see behind me, can be potentially dangerous to our animals that live there. And finally, your show will be about 10 to 15 minutes long, and we do ask that you stay seated for the entire duration, as any getting up and moving around can be distracting, not only to your stars up here on stage, but also to the other guests around you still trying to enjoy the show. However, if you do wish to exit, we ask that you do so quickly, quietly, and completely, following those two exits and along those back walls, just never approaching this half wall here in front of me, as we will be working with wild animals right up here on stage. But all right, folks, with all those rules and announcements out of the way, I did ask you how you were doing, and you made a little bit of noise. But this is our first sea lion show of the day, so I need a little bit of help waking these guys up. So what do you say? Are you ready for a show? Now that is much better. Welcome to the Long Island Aquarium, Sea Lion Coliseum. My name is Riley, and I'll be the host of your show today. But more importantly, joining me on stage will be your two Sea Lion superstars. Our first star today is our oldest female at 25 years old. She weighs around 200 pounds and goes by the name of Bunker. And joining Bunker today will be her good friend and trainer, Colleen. We then have your second Sea Lion superstar, who is our 13-year-old female. She weighs around 150 pounds and goes by the name of Mila. And joining Miss Mila today will be her good friend and trainer, Kim. Now, you all did an excellent job making noise from before, but this is where it really does count. So join me in welcoming your stars to their stage. We have Bunker here in the middle and Mila to your left. Now, folks, if you see anything you like, anything at all, please do not hesitate to let your stars hear it. They really do appreciate all that noise and applause. Perfect, just like that. Now, here at the Long Island Aquarium, we are lucky enough to house 4 California sea lions like your 2 stars here, but we commonly hear our guests confuse them with their cousins, the true seals, like the gray and harbor seals you may have seen at the front of the aquarium on your way in today. But don't worry, folks, with Bunker and Mila's expert sea lion help, we'll be going over a few key differences between the two so you can become experts for yourselves. Now, that first difference can be found on the side of their heads. Their trainers will be pointing out their external ear flaps. These are called pinnae. Now, their cousins, the true seal, lack these pinnae and instead have internal ears, which just look like small holes behind each of their eyes. And that next difference can be found in their first set of flippers. They're front flippers. California sea lions have very strong and powerful front flippers, and they use these front flippers of theirs to pull themselves through the water, just like you and I would use our arms when we go swimming. Now, their cousins, the true seal, of course, also have front flippers, but they are much, much shorter, and they use them in the opposite manner to steer themselves rather than pull themselves. And now that next difference can be found in their necks. California sea lions have very long and flexible necks, and they'll be stretching those way up high for you. And I'm hearing crickets out there, girls. But don't worry, folks, they're not done showing off for you just yet. You see, their necks are so long and so flexible, they can touch their noses all the way to their backs. Now, that is some pretty crazy flexibility. Please don't try that one at home. Now, their cousins, the true seal, have just as flexible of necks, but they are nowhere near as long as a California sea lion's. And that next difference we have can be found in your star's second set of flippers. They're rear flippers. California sea lions have something called a rotatable hip bone, which allows them to tuck those rear flippers up and underneath their bodies, making them very mobile out here on land. As you can see, your stars have had no problem following their trainers backwards and forwards with ease, as well as hopping on and off their seats. Now, their cousins lack this rotatable hip bone, and instead have a fused one, so when they come out here on land, they tend to look a little bit silly. But your stars here have been to the front of the aquarium, and they have seen their cousins in action. So they've come up with a pretty funny impression for you all. What do you say, girls? Can you show us what your cousins look like on land? That's right, like a great big fuzzy inchworm scooch around on their bellies. Give it up for your sea lion comedians, folks. They're being awfully silly today. But with as silly as these two are being, they are absolutely correct. When their cousins, the true seals, come out on land, they scooch around on their bellies with those rear flippers out behind them. And we do have one more difference for you all today, but it can be heard rather than seen. So I'm going to hand the mic off to Bunker to serenade you all. That was a very beautiful song, Bunker. Thank you. Bunker here was just demonstrating the classic barking or roaring sound that California sea lions make, while their cousins, the true seals, make more of a snorting and grunting sound. Now that we've gone over all these key differences for you all, feel free to check out our California sea lion habitat a little bit closer after our show, as well as the true seal habitat at the front of the aquarium, and see if you can spot those differences for yourselves. Now, to continue on with your show today, we are going to be sharing a very important conservation message with you all, which is that you should always reduce, reuse, and recycle all single-use plastics. A plastic water bottle such as the one I have here can take up to 450 years to decompose. So I'm going to do something that you should never ever do and throw this plastic bottle into a body of water. Now, your star Neela here is learning how to recycle, so let's see if she knows what to do. And she recycled that bottle with no problems at all. Great job, Neela. Let's give her a nice big round of applause. Now, folks, always remember to reduce, reuse, and recycle all of your single-use plastics to protect all of our marine mammal friends out in our oceans. But with that very, very smart display, it does not bring us to the end of our show. However, your stars are all going to head inside and keep showing off some more for us on Habitat. And while they all make their way around, this is a great time for me to remind you that while our animals and trainers have a very sweet relationship, this did take a lot of time and trust to build, and any marine mammal you see out in nature will not respond to you in the same way they respond to our animals respond to our trainers. And per the Marine Mammal Protection Act, you are legally required to stay 150 feet away from any marine mammal you see out in nature. Now, here at the Long Island Aquarium, I mentioned we are lucky enough to house 4 California sea lions. You are meeting 2 of our stars here, but we also have our youngest female who is 8 years old and goes by the name of Lucy, and our one and only male, Java. Now, here at the aquarium, we do work with our animals one-on-one to reduce any competition for food and attention from their trainers. And right now, it is Neela and Bunker's show. So it looks like they are ready for us on Habitat, so let's welcome them back to their stage. Again, as I have mentioned, your stars are California sea lions. Out in nature, they can be found all along the west coast of North America, as far north as British Columbia, up in Canada, and as far south as the Baja Peninsula, down in Mexico. In nature, sea lions gather into large groups called rookeries, where they must be very quick, very agile, and very brave, not only in the water, but also right out here on land. And to show just how brave she is today, Neela will be climbing to the highest point of her habitat. And she made it up there no problem at all, which is great news, because here at the Long Island Aquarium, we know there's only one way down from a height like that, and that is to high dive. High dive. Oh, Neela, here I am telling all of your fans just how brave you are, and you're up there looking like a big old chicken. All right, folks, I think I know how we can fix this. We just need to give Neela a nice big round of applause and help her feel a little more brave this morning. All right, Neela, I hear your fans. Can we see that high dive? Excellent job, Neela. She is our very brave star. Now, to end your show today, we'll be answering a very popular question we get here at the Long Island Aquarium, and that is, how do we train all these amazing behaviors you've seen throughout your show? One way we can do this is through something called successive approximation. All of our animals start with a very simple but important skill called targeting, where they learn to hold their nose to a trainer's fist. Now, once they are comfortable targeting our fist, we're able to transfer that skill to other objects and training tools, and even some of their favorite toys around their habitat, like that colorful ball you see suspended high above the water. Now, once Bunker here was comfortable targeting this ball, we were able to move it around and achieve some pretty cool behaviors, like jumping. This ball did start off at the surface of the water and was raised higher and higher to the point where you see it at today. But I don't know, folks, this ball is looking awfully high, and this will be our grand finale. So let's give Bunker a nice big round of applause for some encouragement. And she got that ball with no problems at all, and what a splash! For that behavior, as well as all the behaviors you've seen this morning, your stars are rewarded with their favorite food, which of course is fish. This is called positive reinforcement, and it's how we train all of our animals here at the Long Island Aquarium. But with that very impressive splash, it does unfortunately bring us to the end of our show. You folks have been a wonderful audience. Can we give it up one more time for your stars today? Now, on behalf of myself, your Sea Lion Superstars, Bunker and Mila, and their trainers, Colleen and Kim, we thank you for coming out and have a great rest of your day. Goodbye, everybody.